everybody, today we're heading to Mobile, Alabama to check out the Mobile Carnival Museum. So I was researching places to go because we've never been here before, and I found out that Mobile, Alabama is actually the home of Mardi Gras. That is where it all began, and years later New Orleans, Louisiana adopted it, and now they're like the Mardi Gras capital of the world. But it all began right here in Mobile. And the man at the Alabama Welcome Center, he was so nice to draw the map on here exactly where we needed to go. So, are you ready? I'm ready too, because where we're from, Mardi Gras is really not embraced. You hear about the beads, and that's about it. So maybe we will leave the museum having a newfound appreciation of Mardi Gras. And since we're traveling to Southeast, we do need to travel to Southeast to see how other people live. So, you can join us if you want to. So, here we go. Oh, this is pretty. I love that cat.
Be sure you get up on the float and have your picture taken. That is your Christmas card picture. Yeah,
Oh.
Yeah, so we'll do that when we get through, and we'll get Laura up closer to get parade to Mardi Gras Day. The Double OMs is our oldest organization, so they parade Mardi Gras Day. Okay? Y'all all want to see the video? Yeah.
We can go see it. I'm excited they even have Cher in here.
As history tells us, Mobile is the birthplace of Mardi Gras in America. In 1703, the first carnival observance took place in the French settlement of Fort Saint-Louis, just north of Mobile at 27 Mile Bluff.
We come to New Year's Eve of 1830, and that's when a group of young men here in Mobile were celebrating New Year's Eve the way it had been for some time, and that is by visiting the steamboats that were tied up on the waterfront. The steamboats held open house, and the young men of the town went up and down the waterfront, partaking of the hospitality of the steamboat captains, and the hospitality was liquid, of course. So we did next year, the year after that, the year after that. And they said, well, we need a name. What are we going to call ourselves? So the obvious thing was the Cowbellion Derating Society.
Now, the Cowbellions had so much fun as they celebrated from year to year that they became very tight in their organization, and they stopped taking in new members.
But the preparation for the next carnival season begins almost as soon as the current season ends. Pink is the color of choice for the lovely ladies making their debut at the Mobile Carnival Association Camellia Ball held on Thanksgiving evening. Since the first Camellia Ball held in 1953, these debutantes have traditionally been presented by their fathers. One of these charming balls where guests gather and dance the night away.
I retired in 79. It seems like I'll never get out of it.
That's my life. Parade. One of the more thrilling events surrounding Carnival is the coronation of the Queens of the Mobile Carnival Association.
Hey y'all, it's Mardi Gras.
maskers. They usually don't hold that many, but usually the trucks and all that pull it can pull that float with 35 maskers on it. So as we go down here, you see the concept and what it actually looks like on the street. That one is somehow or another got doubled here.
Oh, this is different.
Yeah, it is different, but it's still the basic concept that you have there. Not exactly, well, it's kind of a little more
Yeah.
water. This is one of the smaller structures that was used on the float. It's a nighttime float. Now we have lights on for all of our floats because we have generators.
Okay, it's Little Rascals.
Generator at the back end of every float. So they're all lit at night and daytime you can see them. But I want you to look at what it's made of and how it reflects light and everything. So that's got some jack boxes. Yeah. And the thing is, well, Cracker Jack.
It's made out of cupcake liners.
Some people would just throw the big boxes too. Some of them would just throw the individual boxes. But the thing is, they had corners and it was a slippery cardboard. So if you're throwing to allow 10 people deep, you've got to throw with some force. Like, very important in Mobile where the world had died. It was one of those, oh my God moments, what are we going to do? It was like we were in deep despair. You know, what could we throw? Well, the man that owned the Chattanooga Cookie Company just happened to be in town at the time, and he said, never mind, I've got the perfect throw for you. So he makes moon pies for us. And of course we sell them in the store, but he makes special ones for us. They're small, they're different flavors, they're strawberry, they're caramel, they're just a whole, I think even blueberry. But just different kinds where you don't go to the grocery store and get the chocolate with the vanilla, etc. So, yeah, if you're interested, look for those.
Okay, that is just shape of the moon pie and the.
Yeah, so that's the moon pie to represent our moon pie. Now, those things that it's made of are doubloons.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, some of the crews have doubloons made, and it's just an expensive metal coin, and they'll have the name of the organization on one side, and on the other side they'll have the theme of the parade and the ball for that particular year. So some people collect doubloons. Well, we had one gentleman that collected a lot of doubloons, and so he gave them to us, and so we had a moon pie made of the doubloons. It was a 2-in-1 shot. We got to talk about two things there.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's that corner right there. Over here, during COVID, when we were all quarantined, we couldn't have Mardi Gras. So some of the neighborhoods, we have several. Okay, now we have been doing Mardi Gras for a really long time. And so they left this part and just kept Florida, and France moved right in, which we are forever grateful because Spain didn't have Mardi Gras. So you know, things worked out nice, good, and then life got kind of heavy, and then the paper mache caught on fire. So we have the fire truck, because even today, even though we have generators catch on fire too. So at every parade that we have is followed by the fire truck, which is followed by the paramedics. On Mardi Gras Day, we have one parade after the other parade all day long. So it'll be parade, fire truck, paramedics, IV, space parade, like this. But somehow or another, they worked it out where you can still feel safe. You know, if your house catches on fire, the fire truck will be there. You know, somehow or another, they got that worked out shot to pieces. This is death. This represents the sadness of the people in Mobile because we couldn't have Mardi Gras party. That is folly. Folly represents the desire of the people to have Mardi Gras and have fun. And as this comes down the street, Folly is trying to get rid of death. So as this comes down the street, he is chasing Folly around the broken column and hitting him with these things. 1860 whatever for there were no balloons. So these are bladders. We have pig bladders and cow bladders. The man from Dirty Jobs has already been down here and done a program on their bladders. If you can find him on the computer anyplace. But anyway, each organization is still uses, and all of the organizations used to use the bladders. And one by one they dropped off, so now we only have two. And they don't use them very much, it's just the thing. In Mobile, his great-grandmother did it. She's articulated, and so she is going to wiggle down the street. And the driver is in the head, and when the driver comes up to the barricades, he'll hit the button and Bernadine will smoke. And the children of Mobile have voted this their favorite parade. Some like it, and some are crying because that dragon can smoke them.
Right.
But it's however your child, the mood of your child at that particular moment, is that. But anyway, she has 2 children. We're very original. Her name is Bernadine, so the children's names are Verna and Dean.
That's
and
cute.
they will follow Mother, and they're children, so they get tired of following Mother, so they'll drop out and go between the floats in the parade and shut the parade down. And so we have to wait till Bernadine can get her children behind her again, so the floats can move, and so the parade can go on. So that's Bernadine's story. Everything you see in this museum, if it's not a throw and came from China, was made here in Mobile. So that is also crowns and scepters. Dynasty collection at the top of Spring Hill used to be just a jewelry store. Then they started making crowns. Now they make crowns and have a little bit of jewelry. So they make crowns for all over. You want a crown, call them. And I don't care where you are in the world, they'll make it for you. Everything you see in this museum that sparkles is a Swarovski crystal.
Oh, wow.
This is one of the queens. Now we have 2 sets of royalty, remember, so we have 2 adult kings and queens and 2 juvenile kings and queens plus their courts. But they usually know 2 years out that they're going to be king or queen or in the court. And so the first year is you're talking to your designers, getting all your things, your ideas, and the second year everything's being made. Crowns, scepters, and mantles are of course being made first to get that over with. We also borrow a lot on that. Who remembers what a crown and a scepter looks like from one year to the other? So
Most of it back then, all this was sewn by hand, right?
you might remember that, but who remembers mantles? So there is.
I probably wouldn't
borrowing.
even remember the dress.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to my world. Yeah. I remember. Oh, I liked it. It was pretty.
Beautiful, but I couldn't tell you
Yeah.
what it looked like years later.
So anyway, the first year is planning, the second year is making. They make the outfits first, and then the people that make the robes come in and they get started on the robes. And they, like I said, have to be done by hand because they'll fall apart if you do it any other way. So all of this is hand done. Of course, you can buy the strips of material that have all of this on there and everything. But they are normally a 35 to a 40 pound pool. So we've got them lined in a very beautiful material all the way up. And then you're coming in, you see the plastic?
Yeah.
The plastic comes up to right about there.
Oh.
So that reduces the friction as you pull it. So it's easier to
And it doesn't
pull
get dirty.
and it doesn't get dirty and it doesn't tear up the material. For the 2 queens, we have to have 2 blowout coronations with the big to-do, big hoopla and everything else. to crown the two kings, they simply go to lunch. And all of these gentlemen right here in this picture have been King Felix III. And the reason I know that is because they have the Mardi Gras tie on, which we sell in the store. And so if you want your husband to be King Felix III, go get him a tie, you know.
No way.
No way. So anyway, but this gentleman right here that has the red tie on is the king to be. So he doesn't have a coronation. He has a luncheon, and what happens that during the luncheon they cut that tie off of him and put the Mardi Gras tie on him, and he is now King Felix III. Okay, so much for the men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So these are just some more invitations and things for Mardi Gras. Coming up the steps, these are lithographs of parades. I've been doing this for a long time. I tell you, if you want to sit for half a second, this is it. Oh, it'll be about half a second though. Today, if you're a member of an organization and you want to see what your parade is going to look like, you just pull it up on the computer. But in 1881 and times past that, there were no computers. So this would be hanging on the wall of your den. It's a lithograph. All these things that are in frames are lithographs. And so for the IHAMs in the parade of 1881, this is what their parade is going to look like. Now you would know the number of float that you would be on. So you would go down there and you'd see that first of all you're going to have a marching unit, then you're going to have a band. The cat is their symbol. You're going to have a riding unit. The thing that year was the calendar. The church is January, and then you would come down and you would see what your float looked like, and you could see what your costume is going to look like. Now, why the church in January? It's because in January we always make the New Year's resolution that we're going to go back to church more often. So you can see that this is very lighthearted. We don't take anything serious. On the wall, we did not parade during World War I or World War II, and the Black organization did not parade during the first year of the Vietnamese conflict. But this is the first parade at the end of World War II. And at that time, you'll notice that our floats were pulled by mules. Up the interstate, we have a prison farm system. There's a king right there crowning the queen. Look, we've got military. The government sends us down a military person for each of our 4 royal people. So we have 4 military people in town. And just look at her wings. We'll talk about that in a minute. For 2.5 weeks, their job is to escort these people to all the parties, all the luncheons, everything else, and just be their escorts, the men and the women, and help them with their robes and everything else. Anyway, they alternate it between the 5 services. The Coast Guard get in on this one. On her robe you saw, let's look at the court. Look, do you see the military there? Okay, so they are part of it, and then they are ladies of the court and the little children of the court. The robes do not have to match. On her robe she has those wings. It's because when she was in high school and college, she was a runner. And she basically won everything. She was good. She basically won everything that she ever raced in. And so people would sit in the stands and would say, well, there she goes. She's flying down the track again. So she reminded people that she flew down the track with her wings. But the robes do not have to match at all. You pick your thing, whatever you want that floats your boat, and the other monarch does the same thing. This one basically wanted a very beautiful robe with the bird, the major bird right there. So we have that. If you are into timelines, when I get through with you, please come back, sit down and read the timeline. I don't do timelines. Sorry about that. The house was built in the 1880s, 1883, 1884. They had gas lights, so the chandeliers are original, doors are original, woodwork is original. Coronation or anything because of COVID. So this year we had a double coronation. I don't know where their video is, but that's this court's video. It's in here, if that makes sense. But anyway, there's the court. We have several debutante groups in Mobile. This is the fall debutante group, and the guys are whomever they're dating at the time. Now, these girls are going to know 2 years out that they're going to be debutantes and that they're going to be in the court. So they may, someplace along in there, ask a guy to be their escort, so they come from all over the place, you know. And we are just hoping that they are still speaking to each other by the time all of this comes along. Okay, a little extra border on for daughter to use. And so there is her robe, her shoes, her outfit, her mantle, and everything else. Okay, but look at her crown and her scepter. Her great-great-grandmother was also a Mardi Gras queen. Yeah, these kind of running families, maybe cousins, but ruling families. And so that is great-great-grandmother's crown and scepter. And in Mobile, we like antiques, so we are just happy as we can be to see an old piece. So that's her story. I don't know if y'all realize that Mobile has a very large port, but we do. It's one of those that's right. I just looked at it's right. But anyway, for and it's gotten a crown, and for the queen stuffed animal. During 2.5 weeks of Mardi Gras, when we have parades and balls, there is one Sunday in there where the ladies do not parade, the men do, but the ladies have the Queen's Luncheon. Now, I have not been to a Queen's Luncheon in a long time because I'm kind of past that age. All my friends that did that, you know, they're my age, yeah. But anyway, it used to be that the hat designers in New York would come down to Fairhope, and you would go over to Fairhope and they would design your hat that you were going to wear for the Queen's Luncheon. And then they would go back to New York and make it and ship it to you, and you would wear it to the Queen's Luncheon. So anyway, while all the ladies and the queens and the ladies part of the court are having a luncheon, the men are out parading, and after the parade, they come in and the knights will have a stuffed animal to give the ladies they are escorting, and the king will have a stuffed animal for the queen. And it used to be just a stuffed animal. Well, of course, somebody had to do something special one time, and then it started it all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, the kings, now they go to the queen's train makers and get a duplicate of the train and pick up a crown someplace and get a stuffed animal and put it all on the stuffed animal to give it to the queen. And obviously, since she has an elephant, she has a degree from Alabama. So that's that one's story. Wash, wrap them up in the tissue paper again. You're ready for the next one. You don't, like I said, you don't have to make your lace, but you can. They do have to be handmade. These are just some sketches that the designers have made, so you can. She likes chickens, so you'll notice that her stuffed animal is a chicken. We have, this is a hunter's paradise down here. We have a lot of men and a lot of ladies hunt. So we have taxidermists. So I don't know about the feathers or the story on the feathers, but somehow or another he got feathers. So anyway, and there that's her mother going up the steps to be crowned Mardi Gras. And this is her outfit, and of course she has the chickens down here. This one wanted a military outfit. His outfit is absolutely wonderful. There he is right there. Over here, these are some of the little, now this is a little Mardi Gras king, when we had 5-year-old juvenile kings. But the catch was, we have a lot of parochial schools in town, so they were the king of their school. So they didn't go off the campus. And so, you know, that was good. And then somebody decided,
Just good.
Okay.
Didn't even get it.
Yeah. So somebody decided, okay, well, let's take these kids out and let's parade them all over town. So these are reports from the late 1800s and the early 1900s. Here's some more silver. Here's some more little estuaries. This room right here is kind of a hodgepodge. We were gonna do it kind of quickly, but, if we have time, they won't. And you don't let a defeated nation party, you know? So finally they left town. And it was like, okay, who's gonna get Mardi Gras started back? Well, no one was getting Mardi Gras started back. So one day, this guy right here gets in his little coal wagon and goes down, Joe Kane, and he goes down the street with his mask on, and people say, oh, there's a parade, Mardi Gras is back. So Joe Kane, pulling his coal wagon with the mask on, got Mardi Gras started back, and so we are back into full swing. A little bit more than we were. If you're into invitations, we have some invitations right after the Yankees left town. Some very early ones and everywhere. So anyway, this is someone dressed up as the Indian. Joe Kane dressed up as the Indian that got Mardi Gras started back. And here's some more things. We used to do posters, some more invitations, more information. More information over there, more than you ever wanted to know. This is how we set the table for the banquets, and never have one. Now you know where to put it. So I don't know what to do with it. I guess you get the fish off the platter and put it on your plate. I don't know. Okay, Joe Kane died. They buried him in a little town on the coast, a little fishing village. And then they left him, and then people kept saying, well, we need to honor this man that got Mardi Gras started back. So finally one day they went down there and they dug him up and they reburied him in the Church Street Cemetery. Now if you go down Government, which is this street right out here, this main street, and you see a big white building, that is the main branch of the Mobile Public Library. McDonald's is going to be over here, Burger King's going to be over there, and the big white building is going to be over there. On the west side of that building is a little lane, and it has the Church Street Cemetery. So the time period I'm talking about, that's as large as Mobile was. So anyway, they dug Joe Kane up, brought him back to town eventually, and reburied him in that cemetery. Well, his wives, his widows, decided, some ladies got together and decided they would be Joe Kane's widows. Now Joe Kane had only one wife. We have 13 widows. So it's an organization, but on Mardi Gras Day and everything, they drop their flowers, get in their limo, and go to the next party. Then after they leave, the 13 girlfriends come. Now, then really, he was a happily married man to one woman, but hey, you know, a party's a party. Yep. So they come and do the same thing, and then they go off to their party. And so we have honored Joe Kane. So here you're going to get some drawings of what costumes are going to look like. These are actual costumes that have been used. Over here, this is some costumes from the IM, and yes, somebody does wear this head thing during the parade and during the call-outs and everything at the ball, and then after that, he can check that off of his head and be a normal person. It is the one parade that if we could go, in Mobile, if we could go to only one parade, this would be the one that we would go to. It's a flatbed with 4 pieces of lumber, and it has 4 drawings on it. And you can see that it watches for all the weird things that happen in the world and in Mobile, and then they make a drawing of it. Wow. So we all go and see that one. But that's the only one that's true, because if you did something weird, you're not going to tell somebody that you do it, then you're going to find your stuff on parade.
Exactly.
Okay, but anyway, this is their queen right here. She sits on the toilet, that's her throne. And the plunger is her scepter and everything else. We have riding units in Mobile, and someone gave us their tag, just so we could say we have riding units in Mobile. These are just some of the ladies' costumes that have been on parade, and the membership has worn these that they have and everything else. But our costumes are very nicely made, but it takes 2 years to get it to look like, like this. 1 year to plan, 1 year to sew it. Okay, we are getting ready to go up either 3 short flights of steps or an elevator. Which would you like?
I'm good with either.
Would you like
Probably
the elevator?
You want an elevator?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the elevator.
Okay. Now, it's slow, but it'll get you there. Keep going.
All right, just keep going on.
This is cool.
Second.
She said third.
Where's the third?
This is it for the week.
Oh, look at that.
That would have to be the second floor. Right?
I guess so.
Because you got closed open.
Maybe
wall.
we're in the basement.
Yeah. Now, if you want to sit down for 5 minutes, this is your one and only chance. You're okay. You're gonna stay up. Okay. If it's a men's parade or a ladies' parade, but they've got masks on, they can't really see you. You know, they can't recognize you yet. But pick a common name. Hey George, here I am. George, here it's me, George. Throw me something, George. You know, and they'll surely on that side of the float there may be one George, one John, one Tom, one something very common name. And they can't completely decide the point. So you're out at 3, and then you've made arrangements to go to, or coming into work, to tear all of this down and put up completely new decorations. So the next night when you go to the next ball, everything is completely different. The leading man or the leading couple, depending upon what kind of crew they are. So these are their costumes for that particular year. You have to see this one with the wings over here. This is Folly right here. Folly has the bladders right there. It's Folly. This is a daytime parade. They have a reception after. They have a ball also, but it's not right here. It's a little bit of different date. But anyway, they have a reception, and so you go to the reception after the parade. But that's their due. These are costumes of the leading ladies, the leading men, the leading couples. The one with the stripes over there, when the independent stripers, when they were a very young organization, they finally had gotten enough money together to have a ball and a parade, but they didn't have quite enough money to cover costumes and everything. Usually the members cover their own costumes, but they didn't have enough. So anyway, for their first ball, they have 4 people, one on each corner, dressed in that costume to remind them and remind us that they had a lovely beginning. Yeah, these are some more costumes that the people that were there. And they came up, they were organized when we had slavery. We were still in slavery. And they were the Cowbelly Rankins, and they were the rich cotton brokers. And the sons wanted to join Daddy's organization, and Daddy didn't want them in their organization for some reason or another. And so that organization died out. But the sons were working on the docks, and you saw in the video the cotton bale. Okay, their job was to weigh the cotton bale, record the weight, and to strike the bale to indicate it had been weighed already. And so they formed the Independent Strikers organization. And they are still around today. But they had the goat as their mascot. Now, they have forgotten what they did with the goat, why the goat, or anything about the goat, except they have the goat. And the fact that the goat was carved by slaves. So it is considered priceless because it was carved by slaves. Then there were some carved.
But you got scissors on here,
Sorry with the pig.
an axe, all that kind of stuff.
Now we have couples crew, so the president couple will bring out the leading couple, and the ball will get started. That's the butterfly maid right
Ooh,
there.
that's pretty.
The Chinese costume, now a lot of these, we sometimes do a lot of research on it. But you know, in China, the terracotta soldiers and the emperor that is buried there, that's in that big mound, okay, that is what he would have worn at that particular time in history. And he was the one that when he died, they didn't want the people to know that he had died, so they put him in the little cart and took him all around, and he was stinking because he was decaying, and so they would put sweet smelling things around him. No, she's taking pictures. Okay. All right. This is one of the balls, and they've stopped their ball, and the people that are invited to this ball know what's going to happen because this is the tradition for this particular ball. They have decorated far more comfortable.
Right.
All right. She was a Mardi Gras queen. Not only was she a Mardi Gras
these
queen,
umbrellas.
and not only was she black, but she was the first black woman in our legislature. So we honor her right there. Okay, any questions on this room? All right, we have juvenile courts too. So these are 8th grade kings and queens. Worn this. The material is just absolutely great. And so there is his outfit right there. And we have some more silver. This is a queen back in the 50s. Yeah. And on the gloves that they wear, you have to have grandmother's button hooks to get in and out of them. So they usually have the 18-day button hooks. This one doesn't, just has them at 3 or 4. Okay. Any questions on this one? This room? Okay. This is another Mardi Gras queen right here. This is another one right here. Now, David was in graduate school when they asked him to be a Mardi Gras king, so he came home and he said yes, he would love to be king, thank you. And he turned around and told Mother that he wanted a Napoleonic theme, and he went back to school. So Mother had to call all the museums in France to find out what in the world did Napoleon wear. And so people have said that this is a really good copy. She said that they were very gracious. You know, you always hear about the French being so standoff. She said once they found out what she wanted and why she wanted it, they dumped all this stuff on. I mean, they were just very anxious to do all they could for her. So she's got a pretty good copy of one of Napoleon's robes. The only catch being she put an M for Marsteller rather than an N for Napoleon. But otherwise things are good. Robe does not drag on the ground. So people can see what you're wearing as you're coming towards them and your outfit. And both the black organization and the white organizations use that one. The next one is, here she is, so she was quite small. The dress has been lost, that's the overdress. But there's her train, and she has a basket of flowers and butterflies. She got married, they had a family. When that son was 21, they asked him to be the Mardi Gras king, and he was. Then he got married, had a family. When the oldest daughter was in the 8th grade, they asked her to be the juvenile queen, and so there is her outfit, her mantle, her crown, and her robe. And they said, what do you want on your robe? And she said, well, my grandmother had a basket of flowers and butterflies, so she did too. This one right here, when we had the Civil War, everything stopped, and then people kept saying, you know, who's going to get this going back and everything, and no one was doing it. And one New Year's Eve, 3 gentlemen went down to the boats, because if you went down to the boats on New Year's Eve, the captain had to give you a shot of whiskey. Lots of boats, lots of shots of whiskey. They were loaded when they came back in town. And the Partridge Hardware store was on Government Street, and the town was so small that they never, you know, they put their wares outside, and they never took them in because everybody knew everybody's business. And so these three drunk guys kind of borrowed some cowbells and some rakes. And then we had the iron fencing. So you take your rake and you run it up and down the iron fencing and make noises, and you're ringing your cowbells, and you wake up the town of Mobile. And so the next morning, everybody says, well, they had a parade last night. So that got parading started back after the Civil War. Three drunk guys that borrowed, some pieces of equipment and went through town waking it up. Got Mardi Gras started back after the Civil War. So they took Daddy's row because Daddy had been a Mardi Gras king, and they asked him to be the juvenile king, and they said, okay, they're asking him to be the juvenile king, they're not going to ask him to be the big king, so let's just take Daddy's row and cut it down and use it. Well, lo and behold, after they used it as a juvenile king, when he grew up, they asked him to be big king. So he had to get a whole new robe. And this is the name of the 50 funny fellows. And these are some of their costumes and their balls and everything. Now, every ball has a queen of that particular ball. So these are some of their queens that they have. She is not the Mardi Gras queen, she is a queen of a ball. So these are some of their queens right there with their tiaras and everything. Everybody's got to have a tiara. What the heck, everybody else does. So we have that. And then this is some of their silver. Those are some of their doubloons over there. Okay, any questions on this one? Okay. All right, and this is...
Come on downstairs.
Which is the best part. This is the music room. Okay. The Catholic boys' home. This is when we had orphanages. Every boy that came into that boys' home, to that orphanage, was taught to play at least one musical instrument. If they wanted to learn more, they would teach them whatever the child wanted to learn. But they learned at least one. And then they marched in parades. And when this group marched, they got paid for marching. And so they got, when we got to the larger balls, closer to Mardi Gras Day. The Excelsior Band, there they are up there. They are the heart of Mobile. It was 1883, and a gentleman and his wife had finally had a boy. I don't know how many daughters they had to get to that boy, but the boy was finally born. And so he was so excited that he asked 10 of his musical instruments, and they sat around and played. She had to cook Sunday supper, and they played their musical instruments, and they enjoyed it so much they did it the next Sunday and the next Sunday, and finally they organized and they grew up there. I have 3 sets of lens for my glasses, and so it takes me forever to figure out where the edges sit. Dress, train, crown, scepter, mantle, everything. And then she eventually gets married and has a daughter. And the daughter winds up in New York City. And some of the people have been lending us their sketches, but this one did it in all the different parts that the king had to put on in order to get totally dressed like that. So I guess we appreciate the French male a little bit more. He had a whole lot more to fit on this train. It is perfectly beautiful. His outfit is wonderful. It's just absolutely gorgeous. The stones in his crown match the stones, match the colors in his train and everything else. This one right here is, you can see by the last name, that the family is of Scandinavian descent. So they asked these people at least 2 years out to be kings and queens, because you've got to get this stuff made and everything else. And so they asked him to be king, and he said yes, he would love to be king, thank you very much. And he was going to wear his Viking cap. And they said, oh no, you're not. You're gonna wear a crown like everybody else. And so this argument goes around. And so finally they call it in and they say, look, when you crown your queen, you must have a crown on your head and a scepter nearby. He said, oh, okay, I can handle that. So we have the coronation. It is beautiful. He comes in, he is beautifully attired. There is the crown on his head, there is the scepter in his hand. The queen comes in and kneels in front of him. He picks up her crown and puts it on her head. He has now fulfilled his obligation as it was told to him. So he takes his crown off, puts his Viking cap on. That's all he sees for 2.5 weeks of Mardi Gras. We don't even know if you didn't go to the coronation, you never got to see the crown.
Wow.
So anyway, that's everything. And then when she came home, and then they later on, they asked her, to be Mardi Gras queen, and she accepted, and they said, what do you want on your robe? And she said, here are the drawings. Here are the pictures from the drawings of the museum. So this is your trip, your weekend trip to Florence. But I do want you to notice one thing. There are 2 faces on this train. Now these train makers are working in tiny beads and tiny sequins, but those faces look like faces. So these people are good.
Mm-hmm.
This king right here, this is a replica of one of the gates at Versailles, and this now I'm calling them olive leaves. If you know what an olive leaf looks like, and it's not an olive leaf, just let me know, but I don't know. But anyway, the reason I think they're olive leaves is because when he was a senior at Auburn, he got a special award for excelling in 10 different sports.
Oh, wow.
I did not even know that there were 10 different sports. I
Yeah.
thought there were 3. But anyway, he has that down there to remind you that he excelled in 10 different sports. This one, I walked in and I thought, uh-oh, that's not French, that's Tudor. And then I was assured that yes, it does have puffy sleeves, but when the French hunted, they had puffy sleeves. So it is a hunting puffy sleeve for the 14th. There is his mask for his shield that he always carried when he was official. Remember the little 8th grade queen in pink upstairs? She grew up. It is absolutely beautiful. Listen, Daddy was Mr. Mardi Gras. He made sure his daughter got the best of everything. Yeah, that's gorgeous. I love the dress, love everything.
Yeah.
Look at her mantle. Now, that mantle was made for her, and then it was borrowed twice, so that mantle's been used 3 times.
They must wear their hair up, or I can't even imagine her.
And that fuzzy stuff is covering up that metal. You take your coat hanger, you cut it different lengths, bend it different directions, take your little ribbon, put it in the glue pot, wrap it around, glue the little ball on the end, then you've got to find someone to solder the coat hangers
Oh my gosh.
to the metal thing. But I love it. That's, you hate to have a favorite, but I do think that's my favorite mantle because it's so different. This one, before Daddy married, had been a Mardi Gras king. Then Daddy got married, had a family when the daughter was just aside. Okay, the 3 junior queens that we saw upstairs, I taught all of those. I taught this one. I did not teach this one, but I was in the high school when he was in the high school. We thought, God, if he doesn't hurry up and settle down, he'll never make it out of high school.
Yeah.
Well, he did. He settled down, went to college, came, but 21, they asked him to be Mardi Gras king, and this is his outfit. This
nice.
is probably the most expensive robe that we have in the whole collection because
Really?
of the fur and because of
Oh.
everything that's on it.
What is the fur?
It's some kind of white fox or something, I guess. I had to find out.
It might be polar bear.
But maybe, I don't know. But anyway, since Daddy had been a Mardi Gras king, he made sure that Son had a and she was into pearl earrings, and so they got her pearl earrings out. And you'll see that there are pearl earrings. There's some of them that are in collections. There are some of them that are just scattered all over the place. but they were paying homage to grandmother by using her pearl earrings on the rope. Now this piece right down here, I have my mother's piece, and my mother's is from the 30s, 1930s, so I'm assuming that piece came from the same era. It's a suit clip. It's a very heavy piece of jewelry, and it has a clip on it, and you put it on your collarless, or your collar of your suit, and it clips on. And you have to have something, you know, a suit that'll hold it up. And so that was, that's on her robe right there. You know, a train maker is in the building. That is when you attach yourself to their side, to their hip, because they're the ones that have all the stories.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, the train maker said she wanted red, white, and blue, and she said the blue and the white worked beautifully. But every time they put a piece of red in there, it did not read well at all. So what they did is they lined her train in red. So she got her red, white, and blue. And there are swatches down there at the end of the room of her train. But some of those little things that you see that you can't quite make out are little American flags that they sewed in there. So she got her red, white, and blue. This one right here, Daddy's family is from, heritage is obviously from Scotland. They have their kilt and everything. And so when they were, after they asked him to be king and he accepted, he petitioned their court to see if he could wear his family kilt, and they let him wear his family kilt. So,
What grade did you teach?
8th grade science. I taught the 3 up there. I taught this, well, this was one of the 3 up there. This was one that was, thank God I missed it. He was a wonderful kid. He was loving, he was polite, but he was, woo, I'm free.
Yep. I think I have one of those. I had one of those.
And they turned out fine.
Oh, yes.
Super cool right there. So this is the front of the museum out here. It says Museum of the City of Mobile. This is so nice. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up our Mardi Gras video. I have to say that was one of the most fun places we went on our entire trip. And we don't really celebrate Mardi Gras, but we had to embrace the Mardi Gras. I got the Buc-ee's Mardi Gras. Mom's got the tie-dye t-shirt that I bought at the museum, and I got sunflower beads. Sweet Home, Alabama, home of America's first Mardi Gras since 1703. And of course I couldn't go to Buc-ee's and not get the Buc-ee's Mardi Gras beads. And Mom's got regular Mardi Gras beads, I guess, and then some Are these supposed to be coins or balloons?
Oh, that's what in that thing they got hanging up where with the embrace of the moon pie. That's what they put on it.
Yeah, so pretty.
I don't know what to call it.
So we did find out with Mardi Gras, they originally passed out Cracker Jacks. Now, we're already back home finishing up this video. We do not sell Cracker Jacks where I live at. I about fell out. We had been selling them, but I did not see any. So I did the next best thing. I got what they pass out now, the good old American moon pie. And I got the flavor we like. We like the banana flavor. So, when in Rome, why not do it? Even though we're no longer in Rome. We're not even in Alabama anymore. We're back in South Carolina. So since they pass out moon pies during Mardi Gras, you might as well get a little tiny moon
That's
pie.
what they pass out.
Now, they said that they have different flavors that's made just for Mardi Gras. Apparently there's a coconut flavor. We don't have coconut flavor in South Carolina. If they do, I didn't see them. But we got the good old banana. And I don't think Mom's going to eat this. She's, you know.
I'm not eating. I've got to eat something.
It's absolutely fabulous. And then, I was actually surprised. I don't know if she's going to try this or not. You want one? We have king cake ice cream. So the king cake is a very popular thing during Mardi Gras. We actually did have this where I live at. Shocker. So I'm going to see how it tastes. It's pretty. It's pretty good. Tastes like it's got honey in it.
You eat whole thing. It's 770 calories.
I don't think I'd eat the whole thing of that at one time. Apparently, this brand's been out since 2008. And it says, nothing makes us happier than this king cake ice cream. There are no plastic babies to be found in this pint because each colorful scoop crowns the eater king. So don your mask for this treat of sweet ice cream with yellow, green, and purple swirls and cinnamon blondie cake pieces.
It's got
a honey taste too.
I think it's got a little bit of nuts in it.
It says it contains milk, eggs, wheat, soy, and tree nuts, coconut. I don't know, you might have to do that one in small doses. But anyway, that's how that looks. And I don't know how good that showed up, not that it matters. But anyway, how'd you enjoy the whole experience?
It was good. I'll say if you're in Alabama and you on Mobile Street.
No, Mobile, Alabama, on Government Street.
On Government Street, go to it.
Yeah, it was very, very nice. $8 per person. We had the guided tour. And I have to admit, at first whenever they offered a guided tour, I was a little leery of that because I was like, well, I want to kind of film. But I am so happy we did the guided tour because it was phenomenal. We had an excellent tour guide. She was very informative. In fact, she had taught some of the people over the years.
She had taught 3 of the kings in on whatever court.
In the court.
In the court. 3 of them. 2 males and 1 female. Yeah. 2 males and 1 female. She was very informative.
She was very informative. I truly, truly enjoyed her.
She
was very nice.
Retired school teacher.
Yes. So I think she said she only works 1 day a week, but we had an excellent tour guide.
I'm glad she was there when we was.
Yeah, and I'm really glad now that we actually didn't take the cell phone tour because what we got was so much more personal. Because there was only 3 of us on the tour, not including the tour guide. So there was 4 people walking around the museum where we were doing that. And other people were in there too, but they were doing their own thing. Truly enjoyed it. Highly, highly suggest. That's one of my favorite things we did on the vacation. So we have embraced the beads, embraced the everything else. And as you can tell where we're from, we really don't have a lot to celebrate Mardi Gras with, but we are Southern, so we do have the moon pies. And I was just lucky to find that ice cream right there. I don't know when I'll eat it again.
I don't know how much you pay for it, but you better eat it.
I think I paid over $5 for it.
You better eat it.
It might have been $3 something, because these were $2 and some change, and everything all together was $7 and something. So it was about $5 for that. I have to eat that in small doses. It's not exactly my favorite thing. Maybe it'll grow on you, I don't know. So with that, we're going to say thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the Mardi Gras video. We definitely enjoyed making it. And it was fun to go places we had never been before, see new things of how people live life that we had never seen before. We truly enjoyed that. I'd like to go back and be able to see some more of it. That'll be months from now. I don't know if we'll go back to the Mardi Gras Museum whenever we go back, because I think they said they change it out like every 6 weeks or something. The things, I don't know. It'll definitely be more than 6 weeks before we go back. So, highly suggest that. They're only open, I think, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. You have to check the website. They got a website. And you gonna do your thing?
If you have not subscribed, please do. I appreciate it.
Yes, I appreciate it as well. We do greatly appreciate everybody that watches the videos, comments on the videos. It's fun to make them. She doesn't read the comments, but I read the comments to her. So if you ever have anything positive to say about Mom, I let her know, and it makes her happy whenever she finds out and everything. Makes me happy to read them too. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe. It's free. And then you get delightful stuff like this. And maybe you learn stuff too, if you haven't never been there. I did not have a clue that Mobile, Alabama was the original home of Mardi Gras, but now I know. And if you didn't know, now you know too. So, thanks for watching. We'll see you somewhere else. There should be another video coming out of the drive home, though, even though we're already home. So, everything else for a little while will be based in South Carolina. But anyway, thanks for watching. Toodaloo. And bye.